Hi everyone, welcome back to Math Hub by Mr. H. And for today's video, you will learn about rearranging formulae. Alright, let's head on to the concepts. Alright, so what is rearranging formulae? It is actually a process of making a different variable the subject of the equation. In other words, it's like solving for x or y, depending on what the variables are in the equation. All right, and why do we need to rearrange formula? So first thing is, usually this process is done if you need to solve for a different variable. All right, so for example, you consider the formula in finding the perimeter of a rectangle. All right, so you know that perimeter is equal to 2L plus 2W. But then again, not all the time the length and the width are given. The question can have the length and the perimeter. So the width is unknown. So technically, you will still be using the formula, but then you need to rearrange the formula in order for you to find what's unknown, right? Depending on the question. All right. And another reason why we need to rearrange a formula is for the calculation to be easier. All right, basically, if you've already rearranged the formula, just simply plug in the values given and you'll be able to get the result. All right, so let's answer a few questions to better understand this topic. All right, example number 1. Make B the subject of the equation c squared equals a squared plus b squared. All right, so maybe some of you recognize this formula, right? Used for right triangle, so based on Pythagorean theorem. So we're gonna start off with separate the variables a and c from the b. All right, since b is already on the right-hand side, so we just need to separate a from b by moving a to the left-hand side of the equation. All right, so c squared stays on the left, so we're not changing anything. However, a squared jumps over to the left-hand side. From positive, it will become negative. A squared equals b squared stays on the right-hand side. And you notice that b has an exponent of 2, right? And in order for us to reduce it from b squared to b, so the opposite of squaring is taking the square root of it, right? So from b squared, to make it become b, we need to take the square root of that. So if you take the square root of the right-hand side, you also need to do it on the left-hand side. So now we have square root of b squared. So you learn that this one, square root, there's an invisible 2 outside, right? But we just don't write it, okay? But it's there. That square root of b squared cancels the exponent 2, and we will be left with b. Okay, and we just simply copy everything on the left-hand side. So, all right, so b is equal to square root of c squared minus a squared. And that is our final answer. So let's take a look at the second example. So we're given here the equation, and we need to solve for v, or make v the subject of the equation. So the first thing that we need to do is to multiply 2 with the variable s on the left. So if you guys remember, cross product or cross multiplication. All right, so s here is equal to s over 1, right? And if you have s over 1 on the left and you have this entire fraction on the right, so cross product, so 2 will be multiplied by s and 1 will be multiplied by the numerator, which if you multiply this by 1, it will be the same thing. All right? So going back, the first thing is multiplying 2 by the left-hand side. So 2 times s is 2s equals, so we just copy everything from the numerator. So t times v plus u. Okay, so from here, you can see that t is one factor and v plus u is another factor. So definitely from there, you can see that we can divide both sides by t. So remember, you're dealing with an equation, so whatever you do on the left, you should also do it on the right-hand side. T divided by t is 1. You just simply cancel it out. So we'll have 2s over t equals to v plus u. So from here, we need to take one more step by separating the variable u from v, because we're asked to write a formula for v, right? So just one step, moving u to the left-hand side, and from positive, it will become negative. So this is going to be 2s divided by t minus u equals v. And this is the answer. Or maybe some of you are asking if you write it as v equals 2s divided by t minus u, it's the same. Just always remember that when you move a term from left to right or right to left, make sure that you change the sign to opposite. So that's very important. All right, so if you think that this question is interesting, so leave a comment below. So on to our third example. All right, if you want to answer this question, you can pause the video and try to answer it first, and then later you can check if your answer is correct. All right, so let's check if your answer is right. Okay, so for this question, we were asked to make h the subject of the equation d equals the square root of 3h divided by 2. All right, so first of all, you notice that h is inside the radicals, and our goal is to make that variable be the subject of the equation. So that means that we need to make sure that h should be out of the cage. You notice that the right-hand side of the equation is a surd, and the opposite of that process is squaring, right? So that means, okay, so let me copy the equation first. All right, so that means that we need to square both sides of the equation in order for the square root or the radicals to disappear. So if you square the right-hand side, you should also square the left-hand side because it's an equation. All right, so by doing that, by squaring, this one will be canceled out, and you will have 3h divided by 2 on the right-hand side. And the left-hand side, d squared, is d squared. Again, cross product or cross multiplication. So we multiply 2 by d squared, and it's going to give us 2d squared. equals 3h. And since we need to make h the subject of the equation, so from here, we need to divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1h, or h, is equal to the whole thing right here on the left. So we just simply copy that. So 2d squared divided by 3. And that is the answer. It's also the same as h equals 2d squared divided by 3. All right, did you get the correct answer for this question? So let me know by leaving a comment down below. All right, so let's head on to our last example. Rearrange 1 over z equals 1 over y plus 1 over x to make y the subject of the equation. So take note, y as the subject of the equation. And you can see like fractions everywhere, right? So the first thing that we need to do is to get rid of the fraction. And to be able to do that, we need to identify the LCD, or the least common denominator. All right, so by looking at the fractions here, it's easy to identify because our LCD here will be the product of the 3 variables. So LCD will be x times y times z. Okay, and what do we need to do with the LCD? We need to multiply the entire equation by the LCD, and the purpose of that is to get rid of the fraction. All right, so we multiply the entire equation by the LCD, so both left and right. So let me write down the product first, okay? So xyz times 1 over z, so xyz times 1 is xyz divided by z. Next, xyz times 1 is xyz divided by y, plus xyz times 1, it's xyz divided by x. And then from here we can simplify, right? So left hand side, so we can cancel out z because it's gonna become 1, and we will be left with xy on the left. Then here we simply cancel out y, and we will be left with xz. Here we can cancel out the x, and we will be left with yz. And so what we need to do is we need to put together here the terms that have y in them. So you notice that this term, xy, and also this term has y in it. So we need to put them together. So xy is already on the left hand side, so we just copy it. However, yz needs to jump over to the left. So from positive, it will become negative, equals xz. Because we need the y, right? So what we need to do is we need to factorize this by taking out the y from each of the terms. So take out y. And if we take out y from this term, we will be left with x, minus, if we take out y from this term, we will be left with z, equals xz. The last step is dividing by x minus z. So x minus z divided by x minus z is 1, or 1y, or y, equals, we just simply copy everything on the right hand side because that's already it. All right, that's the answer. All right, just a reminder here, you cannot cancel out the x and z, okay? you cannot. All right, are you ready for the challenge question? So grab your pen and paper and answer this. Okay, if you have the answer to this question, please remember to leave a comment below with your answer. If you think that this video is insightful, please remember to like, share the video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Okay, once again, thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.